7 people in 1
Oh,
year.
well.
I'm all right with it.
When you think of serial killers, who comes up in your mind? Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, or H.H. Holmes? In a field mostly dominated by men, you never really hear about the female serial killers. About 8.6% of serial killers are females. And today, my topic will be about Aileen Wuornos. Hi, my name is Emma, and welcome to True Crime with Emma, an educational show about serial killers. Aileen Carol Wuornos was born on February 29, 1956 in Rochester, Michigan. Her mother Diana gave birth to her at 16 years old. Her dad Leo was 20 when Aileen was born. Before Aileen was born, her older brother Keith was born on March 14, 1955, a year before Aileen was born. Aileen's early life was not one of happiness. In 1967, her father was accused of raping and kidnapping a 7-year-old girl. He soon hung himself in prison in 1969 in his cell. Aileen's mother abandoned her children and left Aileen and her brother with her alcoholic maternal grandparents. At 11, Aileen was told to have engaged in sexual activities for cigarettes, drugs, and food. The people who would be on this sexual activity would be her brother and her classmates. It was said that her alcoholic grandfather raped and abused her. At 14, Aileen became pregnant with a family friend's baby after being raped by them. After her son was born, she dropped out of school and put him up for adoption. She was then kicked out of her grandparents' house at 15 after her grandmother died. So she began living in the woods by her old house. The way she got by was selling her body. She was being a prostitute. Criminal activity. Some of the known criminal activities for Aileen were on May 1st, 1984, she passed forged checks to a bank. On January 4th, 1986, she was arrested for car theft. On June 2nd, 1986, deputy sheriffs detained her for questioning after a male companion accused her of pulling a gun in his car. Her first husband was 69-year-old yacht club president Louis Gratz. He and Aileen married quickly, but Louis soon found out that Aileen's crazy life. Aileen picked fights at local bars and started confrontations. Aileen also hit her husband with his cane, causing him to get a restraining order only a couple weeks after their marriage. The lovely couple soon divorced on July 21st after only 9 weeks of marriage. Her brother Keith died of cancer. Receiving $10,000 from his life insurance, she decided to spend it on luxuries and a new car. She wrecked that car only a couple weeks after her girlfriend. In 1986, Aileen met Tyria Moore at Daytona Beach gay bar called Zodiac. They moved in together, and Wuornos supported them by being a prostitute. Tyria did not like that. On July 4th, 1987, Daytona Beach police detained Wuornos and Moore at a bar for questioning at an incident in which they were accused of assault and battery with a beer bottle. From then on, they became insufferable, she said, that the anchor that Aileen had been looking for. Killings. The first of Aileen's first kills was on November 30th, 1989. Richard Mallory was the owner of an electronics store. Richard was charged with attempted rape in Maryland. The way this was important in this case was Aileen claimed that Richard beat, raped, and sodomized her. She claims that she killed him in self-defense. Deputy of Volusia County found Richard's abandoned vehicle. A month later, his body was found several miles away in a wooded area. He got shot several times, 2 of the bullets hitting his lungs, making him die. The second victim was 47-year-old construction worker named David Spears, being declared missing on May 19, 1990. His body was found on June 1st, 1990. He was shot 6 times, and his naked body was found along US 19 in Citrus County. Her third victim was Charles. Charles is a 40-year-old part-time rodeo worker. He was murdered on May 31st, 1990, and his body was found June 6, 1990. His decomposed body was found in electric blankets. His body was shot 9 times. The way Aileen was hooked on this murder is because she sold Charles' gun and was in possession of his car, which was later found to have fingerprints in it. Her fourth victim was 65-year-old retired seaman Merchant Peters. On July 4th, 1990, his car was found in Orange Springs, Florida. The only evidence found was a witness Aileen and her girlfriend abandoned his car. Eileen's handprint was also found inside the car. Sadly, Peter's body was never found. Her fifth victim was Troy Burris, a 50-year-old sausage salesman from Florida. On July 31st, 1990, he was reported missing. It was not until August 4th, 1990, his body was found in a wooded area along State Road 19. Troy had been shot twice. Eileen's sixth victim was Charles Humphrey, a 56-year-old retired U.S. Air Force major, former state child abuse investigator, and former chief of police. He was murdered on September 11th, 1990. His body was found the next day. He was fully clothed and shot 7 times from the head to the torso. The seventh and final victim is Walter Antonio. He is a 62-year-old trucker, security guard, and police officer. No known date is known about his murder, but he was found November 19th, 1990. His naked body was found near a logging road. He was shot 4 times. It was crazy how all these men didn't look, but were around the same age range as the men who hurt her in her life. Many people say that probably was one of the reasons she started murdering is because of all the men who hurt her early in her childhood. Court. On July 4th, 1990, Wuornos and Tyree abandoned victim Peter Seam's car after they were involved in an accident. A person witnessed the accident provided police with a description of the two, which later led to a media campaign to locate them. Aileen was arrested on January 9th, 1991 at the Last Resort Biker Bar. Police located Tyree the next day in Pennsylvania. She agreed to a confession from Aileen in exchange for immunity from prosecution. Tyree returned with the police to Florida. She was put in a motel with police guidance, and she made a lot of phone calls to Aileen, pleading to help clear her name. Soon, Aileen confessed to the murders. At her sentencing, psychiatrists defended and testified that Aileen was mentally unstable and diagnosed her with borderline antisocial personality disorder. The insane pill didn't work, though, and 4 days later, she was sentenced to death. March 31st, 1992, Aileen pleaded no contest to the murders of Charles Humphrey, George Eugene Burris, and David Andrew Spears. I wanted to confess to you that Richard Mallory did violently rape me, as I've told you before. But these men did not. They only began to start to. Aileen. May 15th, 1992, Wuornos was given 3 more death sentences. November 1992, she received her 5th and final death sentence. It was said that the prisoners of the jail she was at were tainting her food with dirt, saliva, and urine. She also complained of strip searches, tight handcuffing, door kicking, frequent window checks, low water pressure, mildew in her mattress, and the cat calling. No one did anything about this. Her death. Aileen was soon incarcerated at the Florida Department of Corrections Broward Correctional Institution, death row for women, then transferred to Florida State Prison for execution. Aileen's execution by lethal injection took place October 9th, 2002. She declined her last meal, only wanting a cup of coffee. Her last words were, "Yes, I would just like to say I'm sailing with the Rock and I'll be back. Like Independence Day with Jesus, June 6th, like the movie. Big mothership and all, I'll be back, I'll be back." She died at 9:47 a.m. Eastern Time. And that is the story about Aileen Wuornos. There are movies out about her, and I will link those now as I talk. And there also is a couple songs about her. In today's media, everyone sees her as a victim instead of a killer because they all believe that without the people that have hurt her in her life, she wouldn't be like this, which is really understandable because, I mean, she was raped and all this stuff that's really bad, so understandable why she became a killer. And all of the men who did try and rape her, she did kill, well, she kind of maybe have been of self-defense. But some of them might not have been. We don't really know since she's dead. Goodbye.